Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's meeting for the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. We're happy that you have joined us again this week, and I am sure you would appreciate yet another opportunity to be inspired by a creative, interesting speaker that we have for you this week. As you know, each week we try to bring you inspirational, interesting programs focused on innovation, entrepreneurship, education, and how all those relate to service to others. And today we'll hear a little bit about Rotaract in Australia. So very interesting presentation ahead for us. Our speaker is Sam Fewster. And Sam is actually currently the Vice Chair of Rotaract Australia. And this is what she'll focus her presentation on. In her professional life, she's a food technologist, which is an interesting title. Hopefully she'll tell us a little bit about that as well. With that, I think I'll just pass it over to Sam. Sam, take it away.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. So thank you for that introduction. So today I'm going to talk to you about a partnership that I helped organise with Rotaractors in Western Australia and Rotaractors in Zimbabwe when I was the Rotaract representative for Western Australia. So as Siatko mentioned, I work as a food technologist, which, just to answer anyone's question as to what that is, that means I make sure the fruit and veg here in Western Australia is safe and good quality. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. So thank you very much for this opportunity to present to your club about an amazing experience I had in Rotaract, which led to my districts in Western Australia partnering with District 9210 in Africa to do an amazing project that we would not have been able to do here in Perth. So it all started with a Rotaract trip, which is a tour organised and facilitated by local Rotaractors for international Rotaractors. As a participant on the trip, you get the chance to see a country or an area from a local's point of view, while meeting local Rotaractors and building international friendships, and in my case, international partnerships. So on this Rotaract trip, I went to Zimbabwe in March 2017. So there are Rotaract trips in Europe, in North and South America, and in other parts of the world. But this trip in particular caught my attention as it was a country that I honestly never planned to visit, that I knew would be very different, but also very beautiful. And the fact that it was organised by Rotaractors for Rotaractors gave me the courage to apply and travel to this country that was so far away. To be honest, my parents were quite nervous when I told them I was going on a trip to Zimbabwe alone, staying with and travelling with people I'd never actually met and I'd only spoken to online, which to people my parents' age does sound quite dodgy. So to be honest, I was quite nervous flying there, and on one of the many stopovers, there was a 2-hour delay on the tarmac. And it was quite nerve-wracking because I had no way of communicating to the Rotaractors picking me up that I was going to be late. So I really hoped that they would still be there at the airport in Harare waiting for me. So I got in late at night. I was the second last person out of immigration, and there were Rotaractors there on the left waiting for me at the airport. I was truly so relieved. They took me to another Rotaractor's house, Valerie, and her family, so her and her siblings and her cousins and her parents live under the one roof. They're in the right-hand picture. Her family were waiting for me so that we could have dinner together. They warmly welcomed me into their home. So after dinner, we all did the dishes, and it was my first kind of moment of realization that I really was away from home. So their family dynamics were similar to mine, except that in their house, the big difference was in their house they had no running water. So I curiously asked about it, and if it was always like this or if it was just kind of turned off, and it turns out that their local government just does not provide running water, and it was totally normal for them. So I was given a bucket to bathe with, and first world problem, washing my hair was not easy. So on the trip, we also visited a campsite in Chinoy, hope I pronounced that right, where heaps of local Rotaractors were camping for the weekend, and we got to join them so we could meet them. So I was again reminded how lucky I am here in Perth, Western Australia, as the power to the lights at the campsite cut out randomly, and when we wanted to eat, someone had to do a 1-hour round trip to buy food while others started a fire on the left-hand side to cook the food. There was no refrigeration, no gas, no drinking water, but to them, no problem. But for me, very much out of my comfort zone, and as a food technologist, refrigeration is something that I really do take for granted in regards to food safety and convenience. So we did some amazing sightseeing too, to caves, to Wangi National Park, and to Victoria Falls. Some of the animals I saw were so beautiful, and so I made a really quick video to show you some of the beauty in Zimbabwe, because these are animals that I know here in Western Australia we don't see unless it's in a zoo, and it was an amazing experience that I would not have had if I hadn't taken the chance and gone to Zimbabwe. And I do have to say, I love it when people share their travel pictures with me. So yeah, take 30 seconds to look at some of the amazing animals that do live in Zimbabwe. And for anyone that has been there, you'll know what I mean. The national parks are amazing. So even though there are some challenges, they do a wonderful job looking after their animals. And I was very honoured to have the opportunity to visit this national park and to see the animals in their natural habitat, which is again something that we don't have here in Perth, especially not because it is a city area. So we also visited heaps of clubs around the country of Zimbabwe, and the members had so much energy and a true passion for helping others while having fun with their friends. And I even learnt what an early act club was in Zimbabwe. So sometimes I feel that here in Western Australia, we can struggle to find impactful projects or struggle to find the passion for doing larger projects and events, because they can be really hard work. I know that before I went on this Rotaract trip, the thought of planning a project was really quite daunting, and I didn't think I had any useful planning skills that I could actually offer. I think I was actually blinded by my privilege of living here in Perth. My first Rotaract trip was a year before, and it was to India, just before India was declared polio-free. I saw the impact Rotary and Rotaract had in the community, and the respect that the members of our organisation received from each other and from the community. It showed me that we can actually make a difference together. I came back from this trip wanting to do more here in Perth, and as a result was elected the District Rotaract representative for 9465 in the south part of Western Australia. But I didn't really know what I could do to make an impact. So a year later, when I was in Zimbabwe, I was speaking to all of these club members, and a lot of them spoke about this big project their district was going to do in the next Rotary year, which was also Rotaract's 50th anniversary. It was called the 50/50 Project, and as a district, which encompassed multiple countries, they would impact 50 of their local communities with water and sanitation projects. They'd put water tanks in schools and at hospitals, put bores in places where they didn't have water, build toilets, teach children about hygiene, and more. They planned to do all of these amazing projects that I never would have thought of, because the challenges that they were overcoming were challenges that I was not familiar with. I thought about how silly it was that I was confused as to how to wash my hair a few days ago. And then these people not far from where I was staying didn't even have access to sanitation and hygiene at all, let alone to the standards that I'm used to here in Perth. I told these Rotaractors that their projects sounded so amazing, and told them, when I become DRI in a few months, I'll get my Rotaract district to partner with you so that our members can see what actually can happen through Rotaract, and so we can help you. I completely trusted their vision and their commitment to the project and came back to Perth to tell anyone who would listen that we were going to partner with District 9210 to make a difference. So I ended up adopting a second district when I became the Rotaract representative, and I ended up representing the whole state of Western Australia for 2 years. When I first started, I spoke to the incoming presidents about this partnership with the Rotaractors in this district. They voted to support the Rotaract Club of Great Zimbabwe University, who were going to teach disadvantaged women how to make reusable sanitary pads. I could not imagine being stuck at home when it's that time of the month, let alone not being able to access, let alone afford items for that time of the month. If teenagers don't have access to sanitary items, they would literally miss a quarter of their schooling, and statistically, women are already disadvantaged or much more disadvantaged than men. It's something that I cannot relate to. I can go to Coles, Woolworths, the local supermarkets here, and I can purchase whatever I need whenever I need. And I feel so privileged now that I can do that. So here in Perth, I thought, what can we do? So we organised a Star Wars movie night, and with a really awesome small team, we also organised a Battle of the Bands competition. So this helped promote up-and-coming local bands here in Perth while raising funds for this project. I'll be honest and say not many Rotaractors jumped on board to help, but they did trust me and they did come along to support the event. It was very challenging. My parents donated raffle prizes because we wanted to make as much money as possible, but I knew that these challenges were nothing compared to the challenges faced by those who we were going to help. And a local Rotary club even trusted me too and gave me a $500 check for the project, no questions asked. The next challenge was actually getting the money there, as Zimbabwe is not known for having a strong economy. And for example, when I was there, there were huge lines at ATMs. It was unbelievable. Yeah, and then it turned out the Rotaract Club of Greater Zimbabwe University actually could not receive international transactions in their club bank account. So just like I was nervous flying to Zimbabwe, I was nervous transferring all this money that people had trusted with me. But ultimately, I trusted the Rotaractors, I trusted the Rotaract brand over there, and they found a local Rotarian who could receive international transfers. So unfortunately, they had to actually delay the pad making day as the money took so long to arrive. So another thing that we're not quite used to over here, transactions are usually quite quick. The money took so long to arrive. And then when it did arrive, it took them a while to actually be able to use it because everyone over there was using like phone money, so not money in the bank. So it was very challenging to actually purchase the materials that were necessary. But in the end, the pad making day was a huge success, as you can see from this picture. So there was also another slight delay in finding out how the event actually went because my contact at the club happened to have a baby during that time, which was so amazing. But that did not stop her coming back. She only had like 3 weeks off. It did not stop her from coming back to her club and coming back to me with these wonderful pictures. And this is just one of the pictures. There's more available on the Rotaract WA Facebook page. But what I love most about these pictures is that the majority of the Rotaract members that helped out were male. So members of a club who could never actually understand the challenge that women face when it's that time of the month, but yet they still wanted to help. And our Battle of the Bands competition was so much more successful than we anticipated. Some more pictures, that we were actually able to help fund part of some Ecosan Toilets through the Rotaract Club of Blantyre in Malawi, so also in their district. So the Rotaractors I met in Zimbabwe was so inspiring. Most were entrepreneurs or had their own businesses, and they saw challenges that would stop many people like myself from moving forward, but it did not stop them. At home, I know I always used to feel hopeless because I didn't think I had anything to give. But over there, they have maybe no running water, maybe power blackouts, a challenging economy, and old infrastructure. And for example, today, my colleagues and I were challenged by a bad internet connection, which is nothing in comparison to what other people in the world face. In Zimbabwe, they want to help others because they can and because they all do have something to give, even if it's just time. So thank you so much for listening to me share this story, and I guess a snapshot of my experience partnering with an international club on a project I was really passionate about. I will always remember this project partnership because it was based on trust, so much more than any other project I've ever been a part of. I trusted the people I met. They trusted me when I said we would partner with them. The members here in Western Australia trusted my judgment, and then I trusted the Rotarian and the Rotaract Club that I transferred the money to. Because of that trust, so many lives were changed. Most obviously, the women and children who now know how to make pads from materials in their area. So something that we, or here in Western Australia, would have never thought of. Other people who were impacted are the local vendors who sold the materials and may now have repeat customers because these people can make their own products. The bands who got exposure at our Battle of the Bands competition, one of them is now on the radio, which is really exciting. And the members who got involved, including me, who realized that we all have something to give, even if it's just time. So thank you. And that is the end of my presentation.
Very cool, Sam. Thank you so much for sharing this. I really like the impact of this project. It seems like it was so multifaceted. So I really appreciate that. Very cool pictures as well, and the videos. That was very cool. I hope others appreciate it as much as I do for being in Zimbabwe. Before we move on to the question and answer session here, let me just switch to a different view and introduce the rest of the members that we have on the call here. So from Japan, we have Nate, who's joined us today. Hi, Nate. Perfect. And then we also have Raquel, and I'm not sure where she is at the moment exactly, but I think she mentioned that it doesn't have very good reception, so maybe she won't be able to participate in the questions and answers, but just listen in. But Raquel, thank you so much for joining us as well. And by the way, Sam, thank you for being available to do this so late in the evening, your time. Thanks for that. So let me get started maybe with the questions, and then I'll pass it on to the other members here. Now, so tell us a little bit about on your one of your concluding pictures. I saw that you had a picture from Victoria Falls, and you had some Rotarians there as well from Atlanta. Was this planned, or did you just kind of run into each other?
So some of us were wearing the Rotaract logo on our shirts, and they had the Rotary logo on their shirts, and we just happened to walk past each other. And I think they stopped us and they said, "Oh, we recognize that logo. We're from Atlanta." And that was the year that the international convention was in Atlanta. So I didn't go to that, but yeah, they were very proud to say they were Rotarians from Atlanta. So totally random. There weren't many people actually at the falls that day. So it was a wonderful chance. Well, I guess fate brought us together so we could meet them. Yeah, so not planned at all, and I guess it shows the power of wearing a logo such as the Rotary logo.
Yeah, it's amazing when that happens. It really shows you how truly global the organization really is. Tell us a bit more about how you decided on the sanitary pad project. Was this something that was suggested by the Rotarians there? Were there other projects that you were considering as well? How did that come about?
That's a really good question, actually. So there were a lot of projects that involved like water tanks or bores or pipes, and those projects would have all been amazing. But I have spoken to some Rotarians in the past who have done projects, water projects in other parts of the world. And they said with projects on that scale, there's a lot of ongoing maintenance. You have to train local people to kind of maintain these. And so it's not a simple, let's install a water tank or let's install a bore or let's install a pipe. It's really an ongoing process. And I didn't want to commit our clubs to ongoing funding. And yeah, so I asked the Rotaractors in that district, what projects are there where we can kind of just make a one-off donation that will still make a really big impact. And one of the projects they suggested were reusable sanitary pads. There was, I think, another 2 projects that I can't remember. And then I put it to the presidents and I said, which of these projects would you like to support? And yeah, that one got the most votes. So
yeah, very cool. The reason I ask is because it's such a cool idea. You don't, I feel like we don't hear about these type of projects nearly as much. And this, in addition to, the clear impact that it makes, it also seems like it helps with some, skill sharing and the actual, creation of the sanitary pads. You also mentioned that the materials were bought locally, so that also helps the local economy. The awareness aspect of it as well, I think has probably also been quite beneficial. So very, very cool. Nate, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. First, thanks, Sam, for that presentation. That was great. Really interesting to hear, different things that Rotaractors are doing around the world. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I actually play in a band, so your fundraisers totally resonate. I'll echo Sviatko just with that impact kind of thing, because it's something that we kind of forget about as a social studies teacher. Women being comfortable in the workplace. I mean, women contribute massively to the economy, right? So, I mean, what you've done in this project is really not only contributing directly into buying materials, but indirectly with again, like probably having more women feeling more comfortable to work, and that kind of thing. But my question is, what ongoing projects might you have with this club in Harare or the other countries in the region that you've mentioned? So I understandably where's a one-off project that we can really focus on? Do you have a conversation still going on where, hey, let's focus on this next year and this year after, anything like that? Or
no, we don't have any ongoing dialogue, which is unfortunate. But I guess also with these projects, it was very much led by me. I did most of the work, and I'm not in that position anymore as the representative for Rotaract. So I guess I don't really have the capacity to lead significant fundraising projects anymore. It's definitely something we would be open to doing, but I guess it's one person can't do everything, and the new people that are leading it, they have different things in mind. And I guess also the projects were specifically for the 50th anniversary of Rotaract, so all the clubs in that district did kind of step up their game and do more that year. So yeah, good question though. I feel like I should reach out again and see how they're doing. And
well, it's still impactful all the same. I mean, nothing really has to necessarily be ongoing all the time. I mean, you've done good things already, so sometimes that's just enough.
Sam, and it's so interesting how so much of this was based on trust, right? And it also kind of really speaks well for the Rotary and Rotaract community globally, and how hopefully not just the folks that you interacted with in Harare, but also globally, those Rotarians and Rotaractors really live by the four-way test and all these things that define us as Rotarians. So everything seems to have gone smoothly when in reality it could have gone really bad in so many different ways, right? So way to go on that as well. Okay, cool. So I think I'm gonna wrap us up for the day, and we can stay on after the recording. But thank you everyone for joining us for this week's program. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please remember to indicate your attendance by filling out the attendance survey just below, and also leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the presentation. Ask Sam a question. Hopefully she'll come back during the week of that this program is featured on our website and respond to some of your questions. And if you're visiting us from another Rotary Club, please also make sure that you fill out the attendance survey so that we can send you a receipt for your attendance that you can present to your secretary as a makeup. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Sam once again for some final thoughts.
Thank you. Well, I hope you got something out of my presentation, and maybe one day you can go and visit SIATCO in Zimbabwe and see all the amazing stuff they're doing there. And I guess the takeaway message I want you to have is, even if you feel like you have nothing to give or other people have so much more to give, we all have time, and we all have the same number of minutes and hours and seconds in every day, and we all have the power to choose what we do with that time. So even if you feel like you have nothing, you always have time to give, and time is so valuable. So don't underestimate what you can do.
Thanks so much for that message, Sam. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.